Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to draw your attention to the south side of the field where the Army and Navy Academy drill team, under the leadership of First Sergeant Alec Jenkins, position themselves on the parade field. Davis Guard, as the Academy's high school drill team, will be performing a brief exhibition sequence for your enjoyment prior to the start of our ceremony.
Sir, Army and Navy Academy Davis Guard, requesting permission to perform.
Permission granted.
Thank you, sir. Order. Up. Forward. Up. Drill team, halt. Forward. Up. Ready. Sing. Ceremonial parade rest. Drill team, attention! Horse, arms. Ready. Forward, march. Rear, march. Drill team, halt. Left, right.
Ceremonial parade rest.
Drill team, attention! Ready, move! Forward, on. Ready, move! Guard, march!
Let's give another round of applause for the Davis Guard drill team. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Army-Navy Academy and the 2020 Veterans Day Military Review, which is sponsored by the Academy in conjunction with the Rotary Club of Carlsbad. At this time, I'd like to introduce the Rotary Club of Carlsbad President, Mrs. Ava Payne, and the President of Army-Navy Academy, Major General Arthur Bartell.
Good morning. I'm Ava Payne, and as president of the Rotary Club of Carlsbad, I'm honored and humbled to preside over a club that over the years has counted as members dozens of veterans, those brave, selfless individuals who served our country and who we are celebrating here today. Like many of you, the horrors of war and the commitment to defend our nation, our freedom, our liberty, regardless of the cost and personal sacrifice, are foreign to me. What I know of war and the military comes from the movies, the history books, and TV news coverage. Through Rotary, I have had the opportunity to meet some very distinguished veterans, and on this day, I felt my most appropriate contribution to this ceremony would be to tell you about a few of them. First, there is Lieutenant Colonel Frank Wheaton, whom we lost less than a month ago. Frank joined the Marines in 1956, fought in the Vietnam War, and was an aide to the commanding general of the Camp Pendleton Marine Corps base. Since moving to Carlsbad more than 2 days ago, he has continued to embody the Rotary slogan of service above self, volunteering for so many worthwhile causes that in 2015, he was named Citizen of the Year. Frank was an inspiration to all who met him. Carlsbad Mayor Matt Hall, too, is a Vietnam veteran who was awarded the Purple Heart. He has also continued to put service above self, volunteering at numerous Rotary functions. Matt is a living example of the servant leader we hear so much about, a leadership philosophy in which the main goal of the leader is to serve. Russ Henthorne is another longtime Rotarian who I'm sure many of you know. Russ served in the Marine Corps for over 30 years, rising to the rank of colonel. After retiring in 1988, he served as a junior ROTC instructor and was elected to the Army and Navy Academy Board in March 2012. He stepped down in August of 2013 to serve as head of schools and then chief of staff at the Academy. At Rotary, he was instrumental in setting up our Camp Pendleton Club and has been one of our most active and gracious volunteers. And then there is Neil Black, one of the longest-serving POWs in American history. Neil was a pararescueman of Dachi 41, a rescue helicopter shot down in Vietnam in 1965. He was held in a North Vietnamese prison until his repatriation in February 1973, after 2,703 days of captivity. He later became an Air Force pilot and kept his military career as an air operations officer until his retirement in February 1987. Like our other Rotary veterans, he has continued to put service before self and recently served as a planning commissioner with the city of Carlsbad. I could go on and on and on. The Rotary Club of Carlsbad is proud to have no fewer than 18 military veterans with over 270 years of service among our members, including Rick Borg, David Brahms, the late Tom Curtin, Gene Forsyth, Bob Herman, Griff Lewis, Terry Maha, Roy Means, Jeff Moses, Robbie Robinson, Peter Rogers, Ed Scarpelli, and Jeff Van Sicklen. If there is a common thread among these proud, brave veterans, it is that phrase I've mentioned before, service above self. Their service in the military led to a lifetime of service in their community, and that says a lot about the character and caliber of those who served and those who continue to serve. In closing, let me thank the Army and Navy Academy for co-hosting this annual event with our club, and to all the military veterans who are watching this ceremony today. I know I speak for all the members of our club when I say we salute you and a hearty thank you for your service. Happy Veterans Day.
Good morning. What a great day to be in Carlsbad, California, on the campus of the Army and Navy Academy. On behalf of the Army and Navy Academy Board of Trustees, our truly remarkable faculty and staff, and of course, these amazing cadets, I'd like to add my welcome to this 12th annual Carlsbad Rotary and Army and Navy Academy Veterans Day celebration. In this year, like no other, we must redouble our efforts to recognize the service to our nation and the sacrifices made by our veterans and their families. Let us never forget the words of Marcus Tullius Cicero. Poor is the nation that has no heroes, but poorer still is the nation that, having heroes, fails to remember and honor them. May God bless our veterans and their families, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. We are warrior proud, and we are warrior strong. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Army and Navy Academy Corps of Cadets, led by the class of 2021, will perform a military review in honor of our veterans. Reviews can be traced back to the Middle Ages when rulers demonstrated their military strength by conducting ceremonies in the presence of their competitors. In the American Army, reviews were originally outlined in the Baron Frederick von Steuben's Blue Book and were practiced by Revolutionary units. As a matter of tradition, music has played a significant role throughout military history for signaling units in camp or on the battlefield. The colors at the center of the formation represent their presence at the forefront of the regiment during the heat of the battle. Cadets at Army-Navy Academy have honored the traditions of our school through the years by gathering on the parade field and marching together as a unit. Today's review consists of 7 stages: formation of troops, presentation of the command, inspection, honors to the nation, remarks, remembrance of our fallen heroes, and the pass and review. Today's review will also include 2 flyovers by the Salute Flight Formation Team, one during the national anthem, and then again during the playing of taps. The adjutant now commands, "Bring your units to attention." This starts a sequence of commands and movements to bring the battalion to the final line. Next, the adjutant commands sound adjutant's call to align the battalion on the final line. He then walks swiftly to a position in front of the Corps of Cadets where he will present the battalion to the commander of troops. The commander of troops now assumes command of the battalion.
Bring your units to Wreath on!
The Commander of Troops is Army and Navy Academy Battalion Commander Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Ethan Hoffman from Palos Verdes, California. The battalion staff includes Battalion Executive Officer Cadet Major David Lynn from Laguna Niguel, California, S1 Adjutant Cadet Captain Adam Friedman from Vista, California, S2 Information Officer Captain Peter Xu from Taipei, Taiwan, S3 Operations Officer Cadet Major Holden Nguyen from Los Gatos, California, S4 Logistics Officer Cadet Captain Arjun Rao from Irvine, California, S5 Public Affairs Officer Cadet Captain Jeffrey Zhao from Roland Heights, California, S6 Admissions Officer Cadet Captain Christopher Huggins from Carlsbad, California, S7 Equal Opportunity Officer Cadet Captain Sung To Zhao from Hong Kong, China, and Battalion Sergeant Major Command Sergeant Major Matthew Worrell from Melbourne, Australia. The Commander of Troops, Cadet sent the Corps of Cadets to the reviewing stand, officially welcoming them to our ceremony. The Commandant of Cadets, Colonel Wayne Ward, United States Marine Corps retired, represents the local commander.
Set. Sir, the command is formed.
Very well. Carry out the parade program, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bring your units to order, arms, and parade ready.
The reviewing officials include Major General Arthur Bartell, President of Army-Navy Academy, Congressman Mike Levin, 49th Congressional District, Mrs. Ava Payne, Rotary Club of Carlsbad President. We would also like to extend a welcome to the esteemed members of our faculty and staff, and of course the many veterans, parents, and friends of the Corps who are joining us via live stream. Major General Arthur Bartell will now conduct the ritual inspection of the Corps of Cadets. Joining him today are Congressman Mike Levin, Mrs. Ava Payne, Colonel Wayne Ward, and Lieutenant Colonel Kirby Scarborough, Senior Army Instructor.
Forward, march.
Army and Navy Academy was founded by Colonel Thomas A. Davis on 23 November 1910 with an initial enrollment of 13 cadets. Due to the Great Depression and high cost of rent in the San Diego area, Colonel Davis was forced to relocate, and in 1936 he was offered property here in Carlsbad by the Anderson family, who were very much in favor of having a boys' military school in Carlsbad. Thus, the Academy was reopened on September 15, 1936 in the Red Apple Inn, an old hotel located on the Anderson property. The building still stands today and has been converted into the Academy dining facility. On December 20th, 1943, Colonel W.C. Atkinson, who served Army and Navy Academy for 56 years, from 1924 until his death in 1983, was named by the Board of Directors as the 5th President of the Academy. In 1948, the Red Apple Inn was dedicated and renamed Fagan Hall in honor of the first Commanding General of Camp Pendleton, Major General Joseph Fagan. The mission of the Academy is to educate, mentor, and develop good character in young men, and more than 4,000 cadets have graduated from the Academy since that beginning back in 1910. The cadets of the Corps are the institution itself, and our alumni continually serve our community as teachers, coaches, doctors, lawyers, businessmen, government servants, as well as in all military services at all ranks from private to 4-star general. The Army and Navy Academy has a rich history steeped in a continuing commitment to our values: honor, integrity, responsibility, compassion, and gratitude. These values are the bedrock of good character and remind us all each day of our purpose as a military academy. The Rotary Club of Carlsbad, chartered in 1939, is a service club dedicated to bringing together businesses and professional leaders in order to provide humanitarian service and to advance goodwill and peace in our local community, our country, and worldwide. The Carlsbad Club is one of over 35,000 member clubs of Rotary International, located in 167 countries, which was founded in Chicago, Illinois in 1905. Recognizing the opportunity to support the community of military personnel and their families on board Camp Pendleton, the Rotary Club of Carlsbad approached the Camp Pendleton leadership and requested permission to establish a Rotary Club on board the base. Four years later, in 2009, a small group of Rotarians met with the president of the Army Navy Academy during the spring of 2009 to discuss possible scenarios on Veterans Day. The Academy President, retired United States Marine Corps Army Brigadier General Stephen Bliss, suggested conducting a military review in honor of our veterans. From that year forward, Army Navy Academy and the Rotary Club of Carlsbad have teamed together to commemorate and honor our veterans on this special day. We've been blessed to have thousands of families and community members join us for these events, and today is no different. Though you are not able to join us in person, we appreciate you taking the time to join us virtually to publicly recognize the sacrifices and service of our nation's veterans. The colors and company commanders with the guidon bearers will move to the center of the parade field for honors to our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for our national anthem. Thank you. Please be seated.
Forward. March.
I invite your attention to the Army-Navy Academy 10-man color guard. In honor of the veterans of both today's military and those of times past, our 10-man color guard is wearing period uniforms representing different eras in our nation's history. We would like to take a brief moment to identify the periods in our history in which the 10-man color guard represents. Cadet Staff Sergeant Mayall, Color Guard Commander, dressed in the Army uniform. Cadet PFC Walker Jerica, Right Rifle Guard, dressed in the Spanish-American uniform. Cadet Corporal Quinn Veriker, carrying the American flag, dressed in the tiger-striped uniform. Cadet Corporal Nathan Dell, carrying the California state flag, dressed in the Army operational camouflage pattern. Cadet Staff Sergeant Benjamin Reynolds, carrying the Army flag, dressed in the World War II 101st Airborne uniform. Cadet Sergeant James Vigil, carrying the United States Marine Corps flag, dressed in the battle dress uniform. Cadet Sergeant Nathan Torres, carrying the Navy flag, dressed in the black seaman uniform. Cadet Private Jacob Paddock, carrying the Air Force flag, dressed in green fatigues uniform. Cadet Corporal Enzo Pilcher, carrying the Coast Guard flag, dressed in the white sailor uniform. Cadet Sergeant Nick Mayall, carrying the Army and Navy Academy flag, dressed in the Desert Storm uniform. And Cadet Staff Sergeant Antonio Palma, Left Rifle Guard, dressed in the World War II Army private uniform. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause for our 10-man color guard. Joining us today is Congressman Mike Levin, who is currently serving as the U.S. Representative for California's 49th Congressional District, which covers most of northern coastal San Diego County, as well as a portion of southern Orange County. He attended Standard University and the Duke University School of Law before pursuing his passion supporting clean, sustainable energy initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our guest speaker, Congressman Mike Levin.
Jan, I definitely hear that. Excellent. Well, it's a great honor to be with you all this Veterans Day. I'm very grateful to see so many of the community that turned out. And weren't our cadets absolutely incredible? Weren't they amazing? I really want to thank the Army-Navy Academy for their leadership in our community, for their organizing this event. And I want to thank everybody watching online. I know that in addition to those of you who are gathered here in Carlsbad today, there are many hundreds or maybe even thousands more that are watching online, and I give great credit to the leadership here for adapting to these unusual circumstances, as we all are. As the nation continues to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic, this Veterans Day obviously looks a little different than we're used to. But while our celebrations look different this year, it doesn't change the true meaning of the day and our appreciation for those who have served both in times of war and in times of peace. In our office, which encompasses all of North County, San Diego, and a bit of South Orange County, I'm honored to have two veterans that serve our community. And they're both here today. They didn't know I was going to do this. I'm going to embarrass them a little bit. But Andy Ortega and Gabby Ochoa, can you both please stand up for just 1 second? I want to thank you both for all the work that you do for the veterans in our community. Both are corpsmen, both are dedicated to serving the veteran community. So if there are any veterans here that have any problems, go see them after, will you? I also want to thank our amazing District Director, Francine Busby. Francine, thank you for all your hard work as well. As I think you know, each year on Veterans Day, our nation gives thanks for the heroism of these 17.4 million veterans who have fought to defend our democracy. The brave men and women of the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, National Guard, and Reserves reflect the highest ideals of our country. And like many of you whose family members have served our nation, my grandfather served during World War II as a tail gunner, U.S. Army Air Force. And I think of him every day, especially on this day. The stories he told me when I was young, at the same age, in fact, as many of you cadets, what he taught me about patriotism and about service, it inspired me then, and it shaped my own desire for public service. And as I said, I think about him every day. I did not realize back then that I would someday serve on the House Veterans Affairs Committee. As the introduction mentioned, I studied environmental law, became involved in energy and environmental policy. When I got to Congress, I knew that I wanted to, in addition to that work, do something for our veterans, and I was very honored to be assigned to the House Veterans Affairs Committee. And not only that, but even though I was a freshman, I'm not a freshman anymore. That feels pretty good after last week, I'll tell you. But as a freshman, something very unusual. I got a gavel. I got to chair a subcommittee, specifically the House Veterans Affairs Subcommittee for Economic Opportunity. And that subcommittee has jurisdiction over things like veteran homelessness, veteran employment, veteran housing, workforce development, transition assistance. Those are all issues that are incredibly important for a community like ours, where we have tens of thousands of veterans and their families. But it perhaps has never been more important than this past year, when we've had far too many of our veterans who have become unemployed or who find themselves food insecure. It really is heartbreaking to see how many challenges this pandemic has created for the veteran community. So I want you to know, if nothing else, if you take nothing else away from this, it's that in this time of crisis and in a time of deep polarization in our politics, we work across the aisle every single day for our veterans. And in our subcommittee, we've introduced scores of legislation, every piece of it, virtually every piece of it, bipartisan. And we passed that legislation in the House, and we've advanced much of it through the Senate, and we've had President Trump sign many of these pieces of legislation into law, even in this polarized, difficult time. And that's something that I hope will never change. And I guarantee you that I'll do everything I can, and that the House Veterans Affairs Committee will do everything it can to make sure that that never changes. Because for far too long, we've had veterans in our community that simply have been not treated with the respect and the dignity that I believe they have earned after their service to our nation. That's why when we set up our congressional district office, which is just down at the border between Carlsbad and Oceanside, it was incredibly important to me. One of the top strategic objectives of the office was to have the best veteran casework of any congressional office in the country. And I think we're achieving that. The stories that I hear from our veterans, the impact that's being made by Andy and Gabby and Francine is profound, and I'm grateful to them. So on this extraordinarily important day, let's just take a minute to thank all of our veterans, veterans that have impacted our lives as my grandfather impacted mine, maybe our neighbors, maybe our friends, our coworkers, our relatives. Can we all thank a veteran today? Can we do that for the good of our country, particularly during this difficult time? So I hope in a year I'm back to see you again. I hope that we may not have to have some of these protocols. I know it's been very tough, but we're going to get through this. We're going to get through it together. And like everything else, every other adversity that we've had in the United States of America, we're going to get through it stronger on the other side. Thank you so much for having me.
At this time, Colonel Wayne Ward, United States Marine Corps retired, and Lieutenant Colonel Kirby Scarborough, United States Army retired, will place a wreath memorial on the field to honor our veterans. Upon completion of the ceremony today, the wreath will be officially placed in front of the North San Diego County Vietnam Veterans Memorial, located on the hill to the right of our press box. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for a moment of silence for our fallen comrades and the playing of taps.
Recon Unit 2, attention! Recon Units 2, present arms! Present sword.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Recon Units 2, order arms!
The flyover that you've just witnessed is called the Missing Man Formation, which is a traditional mid-air salute in memory of a fallen comrade. The first funeral flyover was Air Force occurred during World War I when British flight pilots honored the funeral of German ace Manfred von Richthofen, the Red Baron. The United States adopted the tradition in 1938. Today's flyovers were executed by the Salute Flight Formation Team.
Conduct the pass and review, sir.
Yes, sir! Pass and review!
And now, the Commander of Troops will parade the Corps of Cadets in salute to our many veterans. At this time, we invite Major General Bartell, Congressman Levin, and Mrs. Payne to take their place in the reviewing line for the pass and review. Additionally, we would ask any veterans that are in the audience with us today to please make their way to the reviewing line and join us for the pass and review. For all our veterans joining us via live stream, we consider you all special guests for this event, and had it been possible to be here in person, you too would have been invited to join the reviewing officials on the field. Please know, we honor and appreciate your dedication and service to our country. Leading the battalion is the new battalion commander, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Ethan Hoffman, and his staff, which include the battalion executive officer, Cadet Major David Lynn, adjutant, Cadet Captain Adam Friedman, information officer, Cadet Captain Peter Shue, operations officer, Cadet Major Holden Nguyen, logistics officer, Cadet Captain Arjun Rao, public affairs officer, Cadet Captain Jeffrey Zhao, Cadet Admissions Officer, Cadet Captain Christopher Huggins, and Battalion Sergeant Major, Cadet Command Sergeant Major Matthew Ward. Headquarters Company is under the leadership of Company Commander Cadet Captain Andre Demirjian from Los Gatos, California, Executive Officer Cadet First Lieutenant Honda Lee from Los Angeles, California, and Sergeant Major Cadet Sergeant Major Andrew Ontiveros from La Mirada, California. Alpha Company under the leadership of Company Commander Cadet Captain Jay Abrams from Seattle, Washington, Executive Officer Cadet First Lieutenant John May from Santa Rosa, California, First Sergeant Cadet Alec Jenkins from Fountain Valley, California. Bravo Company under the leadership of Company Commander Cadet Captain Mateus Urena from Woodlands, Texas, Executive Officer Cadet First Lieutenant Maxim Yelisev from Odessa, Ukraine, and First Sergeant Cadet First Sergeant Henry Porter from Seattle, Washington. Our 10-man color guard under the leadership of Cadet Sergeant First Class Alex Mayall. Charlie Company under the leadership of Company Commander Cadet Captain Eric Carlson Zhang from Santa Monica, California. Executive Officer Cadet First Lieutenant Justin Edmonds Waters from San Francisco, California, and First Sergeant Drake Snyder from Renton, Washington. Echo Company, under the leadership of Company Commander Cadet Captain Emilio Quintela from Mexico City, Mexico. Executive Officer Cadet Captain Wei Zi Tang from Diamond Bar, California. First Sergeant Cadet First Sergeant Dingheng Sun from Shanghai, China. And Stoles Guard, under the leadership of Cadet Captain Ty Lithgow from Gold Coast, Australia.
Sir, Veterans Day Parade is complete.
Please pass my compliments to the Corps. Outstanding job. Well done.
Thank you, sir.
A special thanks to our ANA TV team, Isaac Glimka, Lawrence Zhu, Garang Dang, Jacob Ahuja, and Miss Eleni Theokery for all their efforts providing our live stream this morning. We hope all our families, friends, and supporters enjoyed the event this morning, and thank you to all those for sharing this time with us virtually. On behalf of Army-Navy Academy and the Rotary Club of Carlsbad, we hope you enjoyed our Veterans Day review, and we wish you a pleasant afternoon.